So today I wanted to talk to you about letting go of our suffering. It's a very important topic and something that came up during my last session last week. In other words, in fancier words, it is about transcending our circle of suffering. It is very important in our spiritual journey, in our healing journey, in letting go of past trauma, and really in another way, opening up and welcoming the next chapter in our life. As we go through the healing process, and particularly as we deepen our Zen practice, our meditation practice, stuff will come up. And what you will notice, what I noticed, is there's a lot of negativity coming up. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain, and that's part of the healing process. But what I noticed, and what you probably will notice as well, is that those are from a time in the distant past. If you have had experienced complex trauma, like I and many other people have, a lot of those things are from the time where we were helpless. Maybe we were harassed and bullied at school. Maybe we did not, maybe one of our caregivers was absent. Maybe they had their own problems. Maybe we did not feel loved. Maybe we were in a war zone. Maybe we were refugees in another country. Maybe we had a deep, difficult breakup at some point in our lives. Maybe we went through some sort of abuse or another. Life is not easy, and a lot of things that come up, they were for me, were from a distance past. And I had to realize that, and I had to capitalize on it really. And the important thing is to realize that you're not there anymore. And it's a beautiful thing. Chances are, if you're practicing Zen, if you're practicing meditation, if you're on a healing journey, um, you're not in that place anymore. And it's very important to be clear and discern that negativity that may come up. The feelings of loneliness, feeling not being enough, feeling that life is a certain way. Those are part of the healing, but also it's very important to realize you are not that person anymore. You are not there anymore. And when I realized that, that really shifted the way I see the world, the way I see myself, the way I see my place in the world. That was really a freeing experience this last session. So, how do we transcend that? How do we transcend this circle of suffering? Because in our mind, very often we're still going through that. We see maybe that we're in a certain way, maybe we see the world in a certain way, and it's not true. Very often it is not true because we're not in that place anymore. However, those emotions, those negativities, those hurt, those feelings stay trapped in our body, in our mind, and in our mindsets. Hence the limiting beliefs, for example. Um, and when at a certain point, when we're still growing, our brain is basically taking shape, and we still have those thought patterns. So the way that I decided to go ahead with it is just basically being present. It sounds too easy, but it really works. Basically, my teacher always says, attention, awareness, and focus. That's all we need. So when we are practicing, when we are working somewhere outside, when we're interacting with other peoples, it is very important for me to be aware what's coming up, what's not coming up, what's missing, what's not missing. And very often when certain feelings come up about myself, about the world, about any sort of hurt, I really pay attention to it and become aware and focused on it. And I realize 95% of the time that those feelings are no longer valid. They're from a distant past. They're just a memory, right? They're still with us, yes, they're still there, but they're not real anymore. We're not that lonely, helpless person anymore. Nobody's hurting us right now. We are not helpless in the world anymore because chances are you have a teacher, you have a therapist, you have people around you that can help you, and your chances are that you're progressing. And I always remind myself since this last session and even before that, that yes, progress is being made. So once we become aware of those feelings that may come up, we focus on it and we become aware of it. And we realize, is this valid? Is this not valid? And then 95% of the time, they're not valid. They're from a distance past. So when we feel that we're not enough, it's important to really focus on it and become aware of it. Be present with it. Why is that? Why am I not enough? Oh, at such and such time, somebody did this to me and I felt like I wasn't enough. And that feeling, that thought pattern, that belief stayed with me. And as soon as we realize it, it's like realizing someone is a liar. We don't listen to them anymore. So those negative feelings sort of void themselves, really, at least for me, right? So by being present with those feelings that come up, by being aware with them, by focusing on them, they sort of, in a way, disappear. Disappear is not the right word. They no longer have power over us. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Haven't you worked so hard to reach that space, that place? Just give yourself a pat in the back. That's amazing. That's amazing discovery. And that's something that cannot merely be attained by reading a book or a podcast. It's something that we have to practice. Podcasts are good, books are good, but practice brings results. So yeah, and the other thing that I started doing is, by being focused and realizing that they're no longer valid, also becoming aware and focused of what is working right now, what has been working in the last few weeks, few months, few years. And one particular experience that I was reminded of, and I remind myself in the last few days, is not this last session, but the one before, a few months ago, I guess. I drove to town to stay overnight in a hotel and fly out first thing in the morning, like 6 a.m. was my flight. And I remember after that session, I felt amazing. The world was so beautiful. I was looking at my hotel window, overseeing the city, the sunset. It was magical. I was in such a great place. And I walked out earlier that day from the hotel to go grab a bite to eat. And I was walking past all these beautiful buildings, and I just felt in heaven. So when these feelings come up, either during every day or during my practice, I focus on them. I bring attention and awareness to them, and I focus on them. Are they valid? No, they're not longer valid. And I replace them, not necessarily forcibly replace them, but I become aware of what is working. About that time when I finished the retreat and I went to town waiting for my flight, and I was in heaven. That was a good thing. That was a sign of progress. And yes, that means that I and you are making progress. That means that I am in a good place right now. I am in good hands right now. I am making progress in life right now. Life is good right now. Yes, maybe not every day, but because of my practice, because of my intention, because of the people that I surround myself with, because of my Zen teaching, because of my Zen teacher, because of my family, because of my wonderful friends, because of the society I live in, I am making progress and life is good. That's a very major point, because that means that we welcome the new chapter in our life. Yes, the past was hurtful maybe. Yes, the past felt helpless maybe, another chapter of our lives. But becoming aware and transcending that circle of suffering, really, we open a new chapter in our lives. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a magical thing. We don't have to hurt anymore. We don't have to want anymore. We don't have to go hungry anymore, spiritually, financially, whatever. But in that way, we are allowing ourselves to open another chapter in our lives. Well, life is just better. Well, life is the best. Imagine you had a cool kid in your school who had everything he or she wanted and was amazing and had no worries in the world. We can be that person. We can have everything that we want, not in a materialistic way, but we all deserve and can have true happiness and contentment. What did Jesus say when he said, what was the reason that Jesus said he came to this world? He didn't say, I came to save people. He didn't say that Not in that sense. He didn't say, I'm going to take people to heaven. He merely said, and it's a fact, he said, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And I'm not saying it from a religious point of view. I'm just saying it as a human being. We have to let go, not let go, we have to transcend the last chapter of our lives, our sufferings, our hurt, our lack, our pain, and we have to open to a new chapter of our lives. We have to transcend that circle of suffering, because if we don't, we're going to go around and round in a merry-go-round. We read books, podcasts, little adventures that makes us further. For me, it was traveling. My teacher says you were just trying to run away from your pain, and I was. But true, genuine happiness when it comes, at least that's my view, when we transcend that circle of suffering. It has no place anymore to go. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm in a beautiful place, and I feel amazing, and life is just great. So yeah, I wanted to show you a view of my window here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that gorgeous? Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for listening as always. If you have any questions or comments, drop me a line. Love you all. Take care and talk to you next time. Bye for now.